Peyton Spoon,
Present.
Gavin Honeycutt,
Present.
Lois Lester,
Present.
Mike Moody,
Here.
Shep Moss,
Here.
Leroy Sasser is absent, Ben Taylor,
Here.
Joseph Taylor,
Here.
Stuart Bowen,
Here.
Jim Cowles,
Here.
Sheila Kutrell, C.J. Dean is absent, David Hyde,
Here.
Carol Hutchinson, and Brentley Morris.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Council, you've had the opportunity to review the minutes from our October meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
I'd like to ask Sheila Kuchel and Leslie Kulisek to step forward. And tonight is Leslie's 10-year anniversary.
In appreciation and recognition for continuous and loyal service, we present the certificate of accomplishment to Leslie Kulisek for 10 years of service on the 29th day of November 2020. And I would like to thank you so much for your sincere hard work and dedication to this town, for everything you do for me, as our office, and for the town as a whole. Thank you very much.
Okay, citizen to address council, I think Ms. Ruthie Kinker. And Ms. Kinker, before you get started, I'd like to remind you that we would respectfully ask your comments be limited to 3 minutes. So once you have stated your name, we will initiate the clock and whatnot. And so we would respect that, if you would respect that for our council and for our audience, please.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. I am Ruthie Kinker of South Hill Roadrunners. Last year, South Hill Roadrunners began a scholarship fund to benefit any junior or senior cross-country runner or track athlete that is eligible to attend Parkview High School. We were blessed in that we were able to give 2 scholarships last year, 2 $500 scholarships. This year, despite the circumstances, I want to improve that. In order to do that, I want to add another race to our repertoire. Therefore, I'm requesting approval of the council for the resolution run on January 1st on the approved 5K route in town.
Okay, council, what is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that it be approved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, and members of the audience, a notice of public hearing was published in the October 28th and November 4th editions of the Enterprise to inform interested parties that council would hear comments tonight on a proposed amendment to Chapter 42, Article 4 of our town code regarding noise. And after comments from a citizen, the council and committees have looked at the ordinance, and after much deliberation, it was felt that the ordinance as it was in pretty good shape, but it needed to be updated to reflect more contemporary language, to not talk about tape players so much as, other types of DVD players and things like that. And we also wanted to amend the ordinance violation to reduce it from a Class 1 misdemeanor to a Class 3 misdemeanor, and then upon conviction of a third violation during a 12-month period, it would be a Class 2 misdemeanor. So pretty straightforward changes to it. At this time, I would open the public hearing for questions or comments. Hearing none, we will close the public hearing and ask for a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead and speak, sir.
I move to adopt a proposed amendment to chapter 42, article 4 of the Code of the Town of South Hill regarding the noise ordinance. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Anna?
Higgins Boone,
Yes.
Honeycutt,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes.
Sasser is absent, Ben Taylor, and Joseph Taylor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we have two public hearings tonight. The first is a request by Superior Investments to rezone the property at 1021 West Atlantic and 1041 West Atlantic for commercial C2 to mixed use 3. I'd like to open the public hearing. Close the public hearing. No comment.
Council?
I can make a motion that we adopt, not adopt, but submit the request by Superior Investments to rezone the property at 1021 West Atlantic and 1041 West Atlantic Street from Commercial District C2 to Urban Mixed Use District MX3.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, second, public hearing. It's a request by Stephen Arthur to utilize 825 West Danville Street for small engine sales, parts, and repairs. Open the public hearing. Close the public hearing.
Okay, council?
Make a motion that special exception permit be approved as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have just one question. Is it, Mr. Hash, is it any restrictions with fencing or anything like that? I know some other businesses have had those restrictions. Is it anything like that that applies to this particular location?
No, sir, and the
Okay.
reason being, Mr. Arthur is really not doing repairs at this address. It will be mowers dropped off, and he'll take them to his residence and work on them, then bring them back. It's more for his clientele being closer to town.
In other words, you're saying it's just basically an office space.
Basically parts. He will sell parts. Mhm.
Got you.
I mean, Mr. Arthur's here if anybody has a question for him.
Thank
Council, those questions did come up at the planning commission this past week, and we addressed them at that time, and they were, did you and you, there was no problem with it, that we could see it this time.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted, since I don't know Mr. Arthur, I just wanted him to stand if he's here. Well, hello, Mr. Arthur, how are you? Thank you.
And Mr. Arthur, I do understand that you purchased that whole building, that whole complex there. Yes, sir. Okay, all right.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Welcome to South Hill.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of council, have a few items for you tonight. The first is the facilities reservation calendar, which is pretty straightforward, so we won't go into that too much. And the second item is downtown Christmas events. Shannon Lambert and Terry Walker appeared before you and shared some wonderful ideas about some things for hometown Christmas, and all that's going to be starting on Friday, December 4th. And we will be closing sections of some streets, including South Mecklenburg, East Danville, Southeast Maine, temporarily for a variety of activities, skating rink, tobogganing, Tell Santa, and of course, the reverse Christmas parade. And you'll see more and more information forthcoming in the next few days. And you'll see in the facilities reservation calendar that the Chamber of Commerce is also going to be having an event at the Exchange Warehouse for vendors. Okay, the next item I have for you, if I can get it to come up here, is on our budget. And at our June 2020 meeting, council adopted and appropriated funds for the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget. And recognizing the effects of the COVID pandemic, we actually increased utility discounts from 20 to 25%. And we also froze certain capital expenditures totaling just over $914,000, as well as employee cost of living adjustments and incentives. And we agreed that those items would be revisited in October. And on October 30th, the Budget and Finance Committee met with staff to discuss not only a security issue for our customer service team, which Sheila Cutrell will talk about in her report, but also the release of those frozen fiscal year 21 funds. And as revenues are on track to meet budget, and a recognition of our employees' continuing outstanding efforts to meet a lot of challenges during the ongoing pandemic, the committee unanimously recommended the release of the previously appropriated funds for those frozen capital expenditures and employee COLA and incentives. And I want to reemphasize, unless you're here every day, you may not fully be aware of all that our employees have done every single day in dealing with this. We have had some employees who have been indirectly exposed and have had to be isolated and quarantined. The other folks have stepped up to the plate, worked extra hours, just put in whatever effort was necessary to get the job done, and they've done it with great attitude. So we want to thank each and every one of them for that. So our recommendation is that we release these funds.
Counsel?
Can you make that big full
I can't,
screen?
maybe I can a little bit. Yes, I can. Sorry. That's about, and just those things that we want to release, the big ticket items, were to upgrade some audio equipment in this council chambers and the police department. It was $76,000, over half of which was a Ford Police F-150 for transport and for backup, a vehicle for the code compliance official, and street maintenance, 3 big pieces of equipment: a crew cab truck, a motor grader, and a tractor totaling $300,000. In facility maintenance, a fence to go around the exchange, and then a new gate for the Main Street Public Works facility. In Parks and Grounds, they need a mower, and also new fencing for the softball fields. And in water distribution, a 4x4 vehicle and a piece of equipment that helps us locate utilities, and then a generator and sewer.
I have a question concerning the motor grader. Isn't that primarily used for dirt roads?
No, it's, it is used for, we have a few gravel roads that we're responsible for, and we do have to grade those from time to time, but it is also used on the shoulders of our major highways because we maintain our own streets. And especially on the busier roads in and out of town, we use the motor grader to shape and condition the road shoulders to meet VDOT
Now,
requirements.
do we have a motor grader now? Do we
do
currently have a motor
grader.
grader?
It's almost, I think it's 27 years old. And it does not have a climate controlled cab. And it's to the point now where we cannot get replacement parts for it. And it was time.
Well, it's my understanding that we use that less than 30 hours a year. Would a lease maybe not be more wise than a purchase if we're only using it on average less than 30 hours a year?
We can look into that, but this was all discussed.
I understand. I mean, this was
before.
done before I came on, but I just have some questions about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
On some instances, the motor grader is used by the town to pull out other vehicles that have become stuck on the dump truck. And we just felt that it would be proper at this time for the town to go ahead and invest now for the long term. And if we get another 25 years out of this one, with all the up-to-date mechanisms in it, that it would be a good investment for the town.
It's a lot of money for 30 hours a year.
I think it's more than 30 hours a year because it's also used whenever we have snowstorm continuously. And that can be 24 or 48 hours straight.
Where do you get 30 hours? Where did you get your information 30 hours? That's the first I've heard of that.
I have just become privy to some information that the motor grader is only used about 30 hours a year, that it's taken over almost 5 years for it to get its first 200-hour service.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, council?
I move to approve the release of all funds adopted and appropriated for the year 2021 general budget.
Okay, roll call, Anna.
Hazen,
Yes.
Honeycutt,
Yes, with exception. Yes, with exception.
okay. And the exception,
Because this was before I became a council member and I had some questions about some of the items. So I am saying yes with exception.
okay. Lester,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes, with exception.
Sasser is absent, Ben Taylor.
Yes.
And Joseph Taylor.
Yes.
There's one other item I'd like to just make you aware of. Today, I received information from Governor Northern's office that approximately $60 million in CARES Act funding will be made available for municipal utility relief. We're not sure what that means at this point, and it'll be administered through the Department of Housing and Community Development. I do think it's important that you know that to date, the utility discount has put over $484,000 back into the hands of our citizens and businesses. And should it be continued, if it reaches 1 year, it would be almost $900,000. So that's where it is to date. Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of council. The financial report for the month ended October 31st, 2020 is as follows. General Fund, $7,292,133.39. Water and Sewer Fund, $1,103,441.78. Cemetery Fund, $10,003.01. Total checking account balance was $8,405,578.18. Investment accounts totaled $16,038,494.61. Police Department forfeiture accounts totaled $27,641.54. Total taxes due were $230,437.92.
Council?
Motion to approve financial. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. Next item is regarding maturity of CDs. The town had 3 certificates of deposit with First Citizens Investor Services that recently matured. As discussed with the Budget and Finance Committee on Friday, October 30th, the funds from these certificates of deposit are being transferred to our checking account, and we will continue to monitor the rates with the Virginia Investment Pool and look at investing those funds at a later date. And this item is for your information only. The next item is regarding CARES Act funding. You have before you a list of items that were approved by the CARES Act Committee to effectively utilize available CARES Act funding. This item is also for your information.
Since it wasn't approved for that, we wanted to make sure that it comes back to our community in some form. So, but they meet this Thursday.
Have you received any indication that that is what's going to transpire?
I have not received any indication either way.
Okay, because my understanding is about 225,000 now, because I know we didn't use some of the, how much was
Right.
it?
Based on the information that's in your report, we have approximately $214,000 left.
Okay.
Was it a reason why that wasn't approved, the 200 wasn't approved?
The committee, in spite of what we felt was a very persuasive and meaningful, argument, the committee felt that it was revenue replacement. We felt that it was not, because revenue replacement would be to replace, items where, that were lost because people just couldn't pay them. We intentionally put this discount in place to help people, and, but the committee couldn't get past that.
Because in reading the requirements, it says cannot be used as revenue replacement for lower than expected revenue collections from taxes, fees, or any other revenue source. So I just wonder why we even attempted that when the instructions clearly say that it's not eligible.
Because, we knew this was coming, and we, can't remember the exact words there, but we knew this was coming, and we intentionally put the discount in place. And, it wasn't lost, because of the pandemic, because people couldn't pay it. We intentionally allowed them to keep that money. And I think, hoping that this $60 million that the governor has announced will help us with that.
Because it was my understanding that they indicated several times that this would not be approved as presented. And they extended the deadline, and it was denied a second time.
We've only heard one time. We only presented it one time, and they told us they wouldn't approve revenue replacement. We made an argument, a good one, that it is not revenue replacement. And at the end of the day, and Sheila was there, they just didn't feel comfortable approving it. And that was true on some other items that should have been approved that were previously denied, and they didn't want to go back and revisit those items either.
I personally think the council's done a very good job of putting the list together and asking for the funds. Was there anything we will turn down on to be other than this?
The one that
Paid.
she was going to present in just a moment.
Right, and paid sick leave. Paid sick leave was another thing. And I mean, the guidance specifically says that paid sick leave is, I mean, you can use the funds for that. But because the committee had denied that request for Chase City, they did not want to go back and approve it for us and then have to go back to each of the other towns and tell them that they could use it for that reason. And
But the guidelines said
they
that
do.
wasn't replaceable.
But there's one place that says that, and then there's another place that says that you can't use CARES Act funds for something that was included in your most recently adopted budget as of some date in March. So they felt like we had approved salaries. Well, yes, we approved salaries, but we approved salaries based on people working or people using their paid time off. And when we're providing sick leave, neither of those is occurring. But because the committee did not want to go back to the other localities, they denied that request as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, do we have any idea if they deny it again, if they reallocate this money? Because it's my understanding that may even be in question because of the deadline. Do we have a plan if they come back and say, we're going to approve this $214,000? Do we have a plan set up in place of what we can use that for if it is not the water bill discount?
Hopefully, there's some type of business gift card in the community, so that it will be spent on this community.
Okay.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation of funds. In an effort to limit the exposure of town employees to COVID-19 as they interact with the public, we requested the use of CARES Act funding to retrofit the 4 customer service windows here in the town hall to close the openings that currently exist. The CARES Act Committee approved the use of CARES Act funding to install new glass, transaction countertops, 6-inch round speak-through devices, small transaction drawers, and a package pass-through at one window. This project also includes making one window ADA height compliant. To take the security of our employees to the next level, we would like to replace the glass at each of the 4 customer service windows and in the lobby with bullet-resistant glass. The additional cost of using bullet-resistant glass is $7,675. I would ask that you appropriate additional funds in the amount of $7,675 to provide this additional level of protection for our employees. That was one of the things that was denied in the CARES Act committee. They would not approve the use of the bulletproof glass or resistant glass because that's not what we currently have. So I come to you tonight and ask for you to approve that, and I would let you all know that since our meeting with the Budget and Finance Committee on October 30th, we found out that there was a risk management grant available from our insurance company, Versa, and we have applied and been approved for a $4,000 grant. So of the $7,675, $4,000 of that will be grant funds, and the remaining $3,675 would come from the town's fund balance.
Council?
I would move to appropriate additional funds in the amount of $3,675 into the fiscal 2021 budget to cover the additional cost to use bullet-resistant glass for this project.
Okay.
Just,
Any
we
discussion?
actually need to appropriate the full amount because we also need to appropriate the grant funds because they're not currently included in our budget.
Then I would amend my motion,
Thank you.
and I would make that amount $7,675.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, do you still second that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any discussion?
And Ms. Kuchar, I just want to make sure, where is the money coming from for the additional? I didn't hear the last part of what you said.
That $3,675 will come from the town's fund balance.
Any additional discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. The next item is a resolution for a separate tax rate. During the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget process, the Budget and Finance Committee approved the concept of providing tax relief for volunteer members of the South Hill Volunteer Fire Department or the Southside Rescue Squad who live within the town limits and who pay personal property tax. Funding in the amount of $3,300 was approved for this purpose with the adoption of the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget. After further research, we have concluded that the most frequently used method of providing this relief is to adopt a separate tax rate. A resolution is provided which would adopt a separate tax rate for one motor vehicle owned and regularly used by active volunteer members of fire department, rescue squad, and/or active auxiliary members who live within the town limits and who pay personal property tax. You want to ask for a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd move to approve the resolution to adopt a separate tax rate for one motor vehicle owned and regularly used by active volunteer fire members or volunteer members of fire department, rescue squad, and/or active auxiliary members who live within the town limits and who pay personal property tax to be effective for tax years beginning July 1, 2020.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, Anna?
Huggins Boone,
Yes.
Honeycutt,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes.
Sassy is absent, Ben Taylor,
Yes.
and Joseph Taylor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, item B in the police report, requesting that the police department be allowed to use $4,000 from our asset forfeiture fund to purchase 6 H&K rifles from the sheriff's department. The Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office is moving away from the .40 caliber platform, which is what the South Hill Police Department currently uses. I would like to use some of that asset forfeiture money to purchase these rifles and also to purchase some ammunition from them. They're going to 9mm. And they have this ammunition. I don't know if you all are aware, but ammunition is hard to come by nowadays. So I like to maintain a stockpile of about 2 years worth of ammunition for us in case something happens that we have it and we don't have to scramble. We don't have to reduce our training and things like that. So that's what this money would be used for. These rifles will replace military surplus rifles. And as you are aware, one of the 8 things that a lot of groups are saying that they want is for police departments not to have military equipment. So we would like to, these would give us some of the same capabilities that those military rifles currently do, and we would then return those surplus military rifles to the militaries.
Council?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, council.
I just have a follow-up question, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know whether this is a valid question or not, but is there a reason why the sheriff's department is moving away from this model of the 40 caliber?
Yes, ma'am. It's a long story, and I'm happy to tell it. It's stuff that I enjoy.
No, I wanted to know, but it's, we're still in the same county. Mercury County is moving away from it, but South Hill is still, so I was just wondering.
Yes, ma'am. So many years ago, and you may remember this, there was a famous shootout in Hollywood, California, that was a bank robbery. The subjects were using body armor that they covered themselves in, and the police department there in California couldn't knock them down with the 9mm handguns that they had. And so at that point, 40 and 45 became widely used by law enforcement for more quote-unquote knockdown power.
Okay.
And then here recently, in the past couple of years, the FBI came out with a study that said that there's been improvements with 9mm ammunition that allows it to have the same quote-unquote knockdown penetration power as 40 and 45 does. And then the added benefit is that 9mm is easier for folks to shoot, especially for weaker shooters and things like that. We don't have that issue. All of our officers are outstanding shooters.
Okay.
So it just, as a platform, is a direction that the sheriff's office has decided to go, and right now we haven't decided to go in that direction. We're going to maintain the 40 caliber platform.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, Chief, excuse me. Could you briefly go over the monthly report formally?
Yes, sir. Happy to do that. Mr. Mayor, members of council, the monthly report for the South Hill Police Department, 85 traffic stops, 56 summonses issued, 2 DUI arrests, 32 reportable and non-reportable crashes, 16 larcenies reported, 9 cleared, 5 assaults reported, 5 cleared, 2 B&Es reported, none cleared, no rapes, 1 cleared, robberies, none, arsons, none. And let's see, we had 956 all other calls for service, total calls for service, 1,112. And then the amount of property stolen, 11,082, property recovered, $15,706.
Okay, council,
Second.
all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, council, in your packet were the municipal service report, the code compliance report, and the business development report, and the human resource report.
Motion to receive.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Committee reports. Everybody's pointing.
Mr. Mayor and honorable colleagues, we of the Policy Review Committee, with the receipt of the iPad policy and use initial draft, we read that, then there was a small revision to it, and we all read it, concurred that it was fine as was. And we understood it, thought it was easy to be understood and easy to comply with. And so we formally submitted for adoption to the rest of the council.
Okay. Any questions, council?
Did you all follow up with our town attorney to make sure everything?
That was done ahead of time.
Okay, all right.
Okay. And are there any do's or don'ts or anything we need to be cognizant of as far as information? Anything?
Now, we just know it remains
Okay.
town policy, it remains town equipment, so we have to, follow the rules and regulations and not, do personal business or things on it because it remains the town property.
Okay.
And we have to, release it back to the town if we should leave the town service. And just the rest of it is just common sense things that, if we lost or the damages, then we're liable for that. So
Okay. All right.
pretty common sense things.
Yes.
Do we have an insurance policy on these, in case there's an accident or something happens. I know for our Chromebooks for the division, we do have a small router that we've taken out, and the same thing applies to board members as well. So I just didn't know how we would handle that.
We'll add it to our personal insurance policy.
Okay, so all that
We
will
will
come
be deductible, but we did not buy the insurance offered
through.
the seller,
Right, okay,
but we'll add it to our property insurance.
okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, council, what's your pleasure?
I make a motion that we adopt what Mrs. Lester just explained to council, as she said eloquently.
Okay. I will second it. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Council.
No, thank you. Any other committee reports? Anything else? Okay. Any old business?
I do.
Yes.
I would like to thank the citizens of the town of South Hill. When we recently updated and reminded citizens about leaves, and we had to put them in brush piles. Of course, we've had major problems with the town with them going into the storm water system. And I have ridden around town several times within the past 2 to 3 weeks, and I have been simply amazed at the number of people who have responded and are now putting their grass, the pine tags, and the brush in the proper place. And this is a benefit to the town, to the town employees who have to get these up, and it's a benefit to those who ride through our town now. And we don't have things all down in the streets. And the people of South Hill, the citizens of South Hill, have responded tremendously to our request. And just want to say thank you to everybody in the town.
Thank you. Any other old business?
I have one thing. Mr. Mayo's brought to my attention that recently town employees who volunteer for the fire and or rescue squad, town employees, have been made such where they are not able to respond to fire or rescue calls during working hours. I was just curious if that is the case. Did council approve it? Maybe it was before my tenure. I just wanted to get some clarification on that.
I can explain that. It had long been the policy that town employees who were volunteers did not respond to fire calls during working hours. With the onset of the pandemic, at the time, Chief Wells asked if needed, if a couple of our employees who were volunteers could respond. And the town manager said, yes, if needed, they can do that. And as more and more volunteers were recruited, we reached out to Chief Vaughn and said, I understand you've got more people. Are you able to handle this? Because town employees should not be responding to fires during working hours. And we were told that they could, with some changes in personnel, people who were leaving and being employed elsewhere that would be available to volunteer, that they could handle it. So I did tell Chief Vaughn that then if you don't need them, we're going to have our folks stay at work during working hours, as has long been the policy. And that's what we have been doing.
Okay. Any other old business? Okay. Any new business? Okay. Council, I would entertain a motion to convene in closed session to discuss the following as permitted by Virginia Code section, legal matters regarding litigation. Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. We will adjourn to the back.
Who's your friend tonight?
What friend?
Show me ID.
For real?
McDonald's sources from farms like the Bunger families to keep your family fed. So we're not only feeding communities, we're helping grow them.
Then I go to your church.
While the world keeps fighting for your attention, we'll keep building smarter SUVs to help keep you focused on the road ahead. This is the completely reimagined 2020 Ford Escape.
What's up, fellas? What's going on tonight?
What's up? Yeah, man, we just out here chilling, you know.
Jimmy upstairs?
Yeah.
Jimmy! Coming out tonight?
Not tonight.
Come on. All right, maybe some other time.
Hey, man. See you later.
Trouble in town because they cut my brother down, because my sister can't wear her crown. There's trouble in town. Blood on the beat, oh my goodness, there's blood on the beat. Law at the jungle, the law of the street. There's blood on the beat. And I get no shelter. And I get no peace.
Homelessness is at an all-time low.
And I never get trouble in town because they hung Brother Brown, because their system just keep it down. There's trouble in town.
Low-income people for being poor. Maybe you and the other candidates are just afraid of winning votes.
And I get no shelter, and I get no peace, and I just get no hope. and I get no comfort, and I get no name. Everything's getting strange.
Where's your friend tonight? What friend? Show me ID. For real? Don't come back with that fucking.
everybody assembled. While in closed session, there was no action taken. We only discussed legal matters. I would entertain a motion to certify this.
So moved.
Second.
Anna, roll call?
Hayden Spoon,
Yeah.
Honeycutt,
Abstain.
Lester,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes.
Saxon is absent, Ben Taylor.
Yes.
And Joseph Taylor.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, council? Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Now, the meeting is over.